One of the hardest things about coming from spiritualism or new age or spiritual, not religious, or you're on a journey and all this kind of stuff over to Christianity is that you start to realize you're wrong about so many things. And it requires a lot of humility. You have to be willing to open your mind to the possibility that maybe a lot of these truths that you've held don't actually make that much sense and isn't really the truth. And that's extremely difficult. Was for me. I mean, I had so many realizations that I was like, wow, I was just profoundly wrong about as much of this spiritual stuff. And one of the first moments of that I had, there were many, but one of the first moments was starting to reflect on the possibility that maybe Christians aren't totally wrong. I'm just ignorant about what they believe, right? Because in the spiritual world, we're always told organized religion bad. And why is it bad? Well, they don't have any spirituality over there. They don't actually have any spiritual experiences. There's no spirituality there. It's just dead church, dead religion. Now, is that sometimes true? Of course. Can you go to a church where I grew up in, which is part of the reason why I believe this idea, because I had this experience of a kind of dead church. We're just sitting there listening to the message and no one's really having a real experience of God. At least that's how I perceived it. I was probably wrong because in everyone's private life, maybe they are, but my perception was that they weren't. And then you start taking psychedelics and doing breath work all day long. And yeah, you're going to have tons of spiritual experiences. So in contrast, I believe the lie that, yeah, they just don't have any spiritual experiences over there. Now, when I started to reflect on this and I thought, okay, well, there's 2 billion of them and they believed it for 2,000 years. Is it really true that they just aren't having any, they believe it and it has nothing, they have nothing. There's nothing there. And now the spiritual answer to that would be, yeah, there's nothing there. Well, why do they believe it then? Why do they follow it then? Well, because they're stupid, because they're ignorant, because they're deceived, because they've been brainwashed. That literally is the answer. They've been brainwashed and they just don't know anything. They're asleep. The book has controlled their mind, right? And like, they're just stupid people who have yet to awaken. Really? 2 billion people are that stupid. There's 2 billion just completely brainwashed people who have not woken up to the truth of spirituality. What are the odds that that is true versus the odds that I am ignorant about what's going on over there? I don't really know what they believe. I don't really know why they believe it. I don't really know anything about their experience because I've never really looked into it. And I'm judging like what, a fourth of the planet about how ignorant and stupid they are. And I started to realize like, maybe I'm just being incredibly arrogant and maybe they're not ignorant. Maybe I'm ignorant about what that thing is. That was hard to accept. But once I started to accept it, then it opened up the possibility of going over there to figure out what's really going on. And that changed everything. God bless.